So we are now on the 7th chapter of Bodhicaryavatara, which is about the diligence, the parameter of diligence. I think it is a fourth parameter. Now, before we talk about diligence, we need to say a few words about laziness, because the laziness is what we have to work on in order to generate diligence. And this chapter also clearly explains, what is laziness and different kinds of laziness. So we talk about three kinds of laziness. The laziness, what we call idleness or laziness, that of procrastination, like mañana kind of laziness. And this is the first kind of laziness, that I don't want to do something. I want to delay it, and for tomorrow or another time. And that kind of laziness, I think it is the, what everybody knows as laziness. But there's another kind of laziness which sometimes people don't recognize as laziness or do not see as laziness. And this laziness is sometimes called, in Tibetan, being occupied with too many not so important activities, so that we cannot focus, or we cannot be more, we cannot actually perform or do the activities that are most important and most useful. Sometimes this kind of laziness is called laziness of busyness, that we are so busy, we do so many things, and we get so much distracted or busy or sometimes attached to those activities, and that we become so involved with so many things, so many actions, so many different kind of activities, that we don't have time to actually do the most important and most useful and most necessary things. So this is something to do with understanding the right kind of priorities, to try to prioritize our actions, our time, in such a way that the most important things are, we take care of those and we kind of spend more time and energy and focus on those things which are very, important, useful, necessary, and beneficial. That's why, this. If you don't do that, that is also called a laziness. And then the third kind of laziness is, they call it, having no self-confidence, that I cannot do it. You kind of deciding right from the beginning that I will not be able to achieve, I will not be able to accomplish, I will not be able to do it. So once we accept kind of defeat, or we accept that I have no ability, or I will not be able to do something, that even if I know that this is something very useful and something very necessary and something good to do, if I say that I will not be able to do it, then of course I will not be able to do it, because then I will never make any efforts, never start to do it, or never try to work on it. So therefore, this is sometimes regarded as one of the worst kind of laziness, described in the Buddhist literature as a very serious kind of laziness, because we kind of we already decide that I cannot do it, and therefore I cannot do it. So this is very important, because actually, everybody has different capacities. Everybody has a different level of abilities and knowledge and things like that. But it's about training. If you train in something, you become better in that. The more you do it, the more good you become in doing that. So therefore, you never know what you can do unless you start to try. And then, you don't have to be the most intelligent one. You don't have to be the most, talented one. You don't have to be, the best kind of, with all the abilities. You can learn. You can learn, you can try, you can use, help from different people, and, there is nothing that you cannot learn and improve if we train. And now in this context, from the Buddhist context, of course we can improve, we can transform, we can learn in this life also. But from the Buddhist perspective, it is also about life after life. If I cannot accomplish something great in this life alone, there is no reason that I should not try to, work towards that or train towards that, because, I can continue the training next life and the next life and next life, and then, there must be some time that I will be able to do it. So therefore, from Buddhist point of view, it is never, good to, to say that, or to kind of accept the defeatistic kind of thing, that if it is something that must be done, it's something that needs to be done, then I should start to work on it. That's why sometimes there is a saying in Tibetan that even if you are dying tomorrow, you should learn today. You should study today. Because, of course, you will not become a scholar, or you will not become an accomplished in this life. But next life, it will be like, taking back something that you have, left with somebody. So this is the understanding. So therefore, not to have this, I cannot do this thing. And also, how much you can do, you never know. Everybody is all same as human beings, and we all have, the potentials of even a Buddha, what we call Buddha nature. So therefore, you cannot say that there is no possibility for me to transform, to do things, to accomplish things. Now these are the, the lazinesses, and so we need to try to change that, transform those three lazinesses. Now before I go any further, I must explain, I must say, what exactly is diligence. Now from Buddhist point of view, diligence is described as, joy in doing positive things, joy in, virtuous actions. That's called diligence. Diligence is not just, pushing hard. Diligence is not just, striving, and pushing yourself very hard. That's not called diligence from the Buddhist point of view. Diligence is, having or developing or generating a joyful attitude, joyful kind of state of mind in doing wholesome, positive, and necessary activities. So therefore, the understanding from Buddhist point of view is that, we have to first see what is it that I want, what is the most important thing that I want to accomplish, what is the most necessary thing that should be done. So we need to reflect within ourselves what is the most important thing. So therefore, generally, when we look, of course, we have to think about this, each of us on our own, but, most people would agree that I want to be free from all kind of problems, sufferings, pain, and all kind of, negative things, not only for a short time, but forever. So I want to be free from suffering for all the time. And I want to have a kind of lasting happiness, peace, joy, that I want. And then if you look a little bit more deeply, is it enough that I have that that I am free from my problems and sufferings and pain, and I alone, if I'm okay, I'm happy, then that's okay. Then most people think that that's not enough. I need not only me, but my loved ones, my family, my friends, all those people, who are kind of connected with me, and not only with me, but all those connected with my loved ones, and like that. And even if I see somebody who is totally nothing to do with me, and they are in a really very bad state, very strong suffering and pain, I would be unhappy. I would suffer. So therefore, it is kind of seen as a natural aspiration or natural state of, mind for almost all human beings, that we want the best for ourselves and free from sufferings and pain and things like that. But we also want other people to be happy, to be free from suffering, to be, And then everybody also, there is nobody who doesn't want to be free from suffering and who doesn't want to be, have the lasting peace and happiness. So if that is the case, then shouldn't it not be my ultimate goal, ultimate aspiration, that I should work towards that? Of course, there can be other things also I can do, and I can accomplish, but, if that is the ultimate kind of goal or ultimate aspiration, then, I should have that as the most important, issue, most important goal, most important aspiration. So if that is the case, then, anything I do should contribute towards that. And if I keep that focus and then try to get rid of all the hurdles, then I am diligent. So in order to, work on this, to get rid of or to lessen my three different kinds of laziness and generate a very important or very strong sense of diligence, then there, in this book also, they have given what is called as 4 remedial forces, four strong strengths, or 4 forces. By trying to, work on these 4 forces or generate these 4 forces, then I'll be able to kind of generate the right kind of diligence. So what are these 4 forces? The first force is force of aspiration. The aspiration is the most important thing, because if whatever I really truly aspire, if I, then I become, generally, I will develop joy in cultivating or in working towards that aspiration, toward that thing that I am aspired to. And when I have, very clear and very strong aspiration to work on that, to develop that, to train in that direction, then usually, I would be, I would not even get too much tired. I will be, have lots of strength and lots of, energy and things like that. I often think about the hobby that the concept of hobby that is very much in the West. We in Tibet, we never had. Nobody. We don't have that word hobby. But when I first found out about hobby, it was kind of funny. It was quite, it took some time to understand. Because, when I was very young, I was in Dalhousie, and lots of Westerners were going for mountain climbing, climbing on the Himalayas and things like that. And I said, why are you going there for mountain climbing? He said, it's my hobby. It's so nice. It's so, wonderful. It's so... I said, oh, I had climbed snow mountains, I came to India by crossing the Himalayas, and I know how not so nice it is, how hard it is, how difficult, how cold it is, how terrible it was. So, I said, it is not so nice. No, it's so nice. So it's like that, when people take something as their hobby, it can be very hard job, doesn't matter. It could be very expensive, it doesn't matter. It could be even expensive, it doesn't matter. It can be very dangerous, even, you could risk your life, it doesn't matter. And they are so happy doing that, and they never get tired of doing that. So, when you have so much good, strong aspiration, then it's like that. You don't get tired, you don't mind even risk, you don't mind. So that's the force of aspiration. So therefore, when you know that this is, I have to bring the lasting peace and happiness to all the sentient beings, and in order to do that, I must train myself to learn how to do that, and I would like to work on it. And if you are really inspired, then, you have so much joy in doing that you don't get tired. And that's called diligence. With that kind of diligence, you can do day and night or whenever. So force of aspiration. The second is, sometimes this is called force of pride. But this pride is not like I'm the best kind of pride. It's more like, confidence. Here in this text, it's translated as steadfastness. That there are three things. One is that I am, this needs to be done. This is something must be done. Something, really important task. It's a very important task. It's good for me, it's good for everybody, it's good for now, it's good for the long run. It's the most important task. So if I have that, the confidence in the task, then I have this, you can call it pride if you like, the positive kind of pride, or steadfastness, that this needs to be done. So therefore, you get a very strong force of it. It is very important. The second is the self-confidence. regarding the abilities, that most of the, as we just described in the laziness, I cannot do it, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not intelligent. That's not the case, Everybody is same, everybody has the potential. It's just that we have to train, If I'm doing something, if I'm training something, that becomes strong, Like if I exercise this arm becomes stronger. If I exercise this arm becomes stronger. So therefore, if I train, whatever I train, then my ability in that becomes stronger. So I don't have to be, discouraged because I don't have that particular, ability or that particular, but I need to train on that. If I have less ability in something, instead of saying that I have no ability, I have to say I need to train on that. So therefore, the confidence regarding the abilities that can be trained. If I cannot completely become very, accomplished in this life, I can do it in the next life. So things like that, abilities. Then the confidence or the, self-confidence regarding the kleshas or afflictive emotions. So all our, the obstacle to all this, from the Buddhist point of view, the cause, the main cause of all our problems and sufferings and pain is the, kleshas, the mind poisons, the ignorance, aversion, too much attachment, and things like that. And so therefore, these negative emotions or afflictive emotions are very strong, and are strong also in ourselves. But that doesn't mean that we cannot overcome them. Because, however strong these afflictive emotions are, or negative emotions are, even the ignorance, they can also change. There's nothing which doesn't change. There's nothing which lasts forever. So therefore, it is possible to transform that. It is possible to develop the positive side of it, like compassion, wisdom, and things like that. So to have self-confidence or confidence in that. So when we have that, these three kinds of confidences, if I can cultivate, then there is the force of steadfastness, there's a force of right kind of a pride. So that's the second one. The third force is what is called the force of joy. We need to develop, or we need to find joy in doing whatever that is. If I'm trying to work towards something, and if I do it with a very kind of burdensome way, unhappy way, in a kind of very kind of forced way, or with no confidence in, then it's very hard to do it, and it takes much longer time to accomplish. But if we develop a joy, if I'm trying to do something, maybe I'm not the best in it, but I know this is something useful, this is something beneficial, it is something which is good for me and good for others, good for now and good for long run, then, I need to kind of feel that, I'm happy doing that, I'm delighted to work on it. I may not be able to accomplish everything, doesn't matter. Whatever I do with delight, with some kind of, with joy, with happiness, and whatever I can do, it would have some effect. That, then I take it lightly. I take it, if everything doesn't go exactly as I wish it, doesn't matter. I've made some efforts, and that's the most important thing. And so therefore, joy, finding joy in whatever I'm doing makes me, makes me diligent actually, makes me happy in doing that, and gives me confidence and inspires me. So therefore, whatever I am doing, I try to be joyful. And if I see that I'm distracted in the laziness, in these three kind of laziness, then I kind of remind myself that this is not useful, this is not good, this is not, this is not going to be, beneficial to myself, as much beneficial to myself and others. So therefore, I change, and then I find more joy in doing. Of course, sometimes we can also do some, not so, not so useful things and things like that. So this is the fourth one, for the force of relinquishment. And if I'm training in doing something, and I feel that I am tired with that, I'm a little bit tired, and I need rest. I need to recuperate my energy and my strength. Then, okay, why not? I should go for a vacation. This is also a form of relinquishment. Relinquishment means I can leave it for a while. I don't need to, what you call drudgingly, or drudge or grudge or something like that. There's an English word. So I don't have to push again and again and again to a breaking point. I don't have to do that. If I feel that I need rest, I can take rest. I should take rest. And if I feel that I need to get some, a little bit distracted, okay, do it. There's, easiness. There has to be some kind of a lightness, easiness, not heaviness. So diligence is joy in doing positive things, not taking something heavily and very kind of, in a kind of moody way, in a always kind of what can you say, without any smile or without any freshness, but with joy. So therefore, this is the fourth one, the force of relinquishment. You can leave it. You can leave that sometime. You can do something else with the intention that, yes, overall, I will never leave this. The aspiration is there, and all these things. But if I think that this is, I need some rest, I can take that. And also, if I've done something good, something accomplished, and then, or, something else I need to do which is more important, I can leave that also. It's not that I have to get stuck with one thing and I can never leave it. Sometimes we get so kind of attached to something that we are doing. And even if I have done my part, and it's time that to give it over to other people, and there are other people who would do kind of maybe better than myself, then I'm not able to do that. Is also a type of laziness in a way. So being able to relinquish my own kind of responsibilities, and give it to others, because there's so many else I can do. There's nothing that I have to fight with somebody for something, a post or activity or something, responsibility. So therefore, there's so many things I can do. So if there is somebody else who can do it, why not give it to them and make them and encourage them and help them and things like that. So so relinquishment is also a force, is a positive force to, towards the, kind of this working on these lazinesses. So therefore, these four forces. Through these four forces, we work on the three laziness, and then, the more we become better at it, the more we become more diligent, and then slowly, maybe we'll be having the paramita of diligence. But that doesn't matter, too much. So more or less, I mean, of course, this what can you say? This chapter is is quite a not very long but lengthy chapter, and there are lots of things there. But maybe I should stop here. It's more or less these are more the main things. So then, if there are any questions or things like that, I would be most happy.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Can you say a little more about how attachment is also a form of laziness? Because it kind of really comes out of what you were speaking when you were talking about the last force in terms of relinquishment. The ability to be able to put it aside when you need to, or you need to rest, is a way of challenging attachment as a form of laziness. So yes, to hear more about that would be wonderful.
This is, these are the, too much attachment is one of the, what we call the mind poisons or afflictive emotions. Because then, if you are too much attached to something, then necessarily aversion comes, worries comes, anxiety comes, and all kind of emotions come, and therefore, all other things, are happen. So therefore, and also, if your aspiration is something that you want to, bring freedom from those, bringing freedom from the causes and conditions that will bring suffering and pain and problem to yourself, then attachment is one of them. Is a very strong thing. But here in this form of relinquishment, these are some things that it's very usual and very often that we kind of, if I'm doing something and I'm, and then I cannot rest, I cannot take a vacation, I cannot leave this for a while, because then, something, will happen and it will be, it will be very bad. So we can become, too much caught up with something, and although we find it not joyful, we find it not, not happy, and we make it too serious, too kind of, too attached to something. So when that happens, and if I'm very tired, and I'm, and I start to get a little bit of, aversion to that, whatever I'm doing. But still, I cannot, or I would not stop doing that because I'm too kind of holding on to that. And that is not good for the diligence, because, if you want to work diligently on something, then you should not have that. So therefore, sometimes letting go of something is good. Sometimes taking a little bit of rest from that is also good. Not by giving up, not giving up, but I can take some time to rest, to rejuvenate my energy and things like that, and then I can do it much better way, or I can do not particularly that thing, but something, another one, because we can approach from many directions and we can do many different areas and many different things. So so getting too much attached to something and stuck with that is not not good for the diligence. Actually, it is kind of an obstacle to that. That's, I think, what is being discussed.
Thank you very much indeed, Rinpoche. Now, the next question is asking what you might have to say about the relationship between discipline and diligence. Discipline and diligence.
Discipline is actually discipline also. If you have the diligence, then discipline becomes a good discipline. Actually, it is usually said that diligence is something that helps all other, like paramitas. It's something that, is a kind of, what can you say? It's a support for all other paramitas, because without diligence or without a positive, diligent way, you cannot accomplish any of the paramitas. So diligence, that discipline usually, again, discipline. Sometimes I have a little bit problem with the word, the English word discipline. If we take the discipline as something like iron fist discipline, that what we call sultim or shila. The Tibetan word sultim is like, or shila even, is this word has some kind of a you know, meaning that you understand, you see, you know, these kind of actions or the conducts, whether it's of body or speech or mind, this will lead to something that is not good, something that is harmful to yourself now or in the long run, that is harmful to others now or the long run. And when you see that, then, you know, you make a decision, you make a clear decision. And if it is, you know, positive thing, it is a good thing, then you allow yourself to do it. If it is a negative thing, then you allow yourself not to do it. That's discipline, you know. It's your, you know, you make the choice, you make the right choice of what to do and not to do. That's usually, you know, what Shila means, or, you know, Chultim means. Now, not because somebody told you to do this or not to do this, but because you see the consequence of this action, and then you make a, you know, choice yourself that it is something I should do or not do. So this is discipline. Now, diligence is when you have that, you know, that choice, and then, you know, you make a right kind of choice, and you do it very happily, very joyfully, you know, and you have no regret of not doing that negative thing, or have lots of joy in doing this positive thing, and, you know, so then that's the, you know, that's the diligence. You know, diligence helps us to, you know, to do all other paramitas, or to work on all other paramitas in a more forceful or more energetic or more joyful way.
Thank you very much, Rinpoche. There's another one which is, there's more than one questioner looking for this one, is when we're feeling very low and mired in the three kinds of laziness, how best to find the motivation to move towards diligence? I had a personal question there, thinking maybe the route lies through inspiration and aspiration, but it'd be very interested to hear what you say.
Yeah, I think it is like that. You know, we must first see, you know, what is it that is important. You know, we have to try to think and, you know, contemplate and see what is it that I want. You know, what is it that is important. And then if that becomes clear, you know, then, you know, it's kind of more or less automatically solve the problem, because, you know, the more inspired I am, or more aspiration I have to kind of towards this direction or that direction, that gives me the, you know, force or energy or you know, wanting to move in that direction, and that is actually diligence, you know.
Thank you very much, Rinpoche. The other one relates, but coming from another perspective, and that's similarly when kind of very low and mired and feeling unable, paralyzed, if you like, in respect of the three lazinesses, what's really the root of the negativity, which is kind of, I think, kind of at the bottom of your third type of laziness. Got any thoughts about what the root of that negativity is?
You know, I think that is also, generally when you, you feel that, very low, kind of unhappy, kind of helpless, frustrated, and, cannot see much kind of light or, hope or anything like that, then, that is also something that you can, some sense of hopelessness, but most of the time, this kind of hope, there are two things. One is that, and also, if you have that feeling now, maybe sometimes it is also not necessary to, to feel too bad that you feel this frustration or this kind of, negative state. Because the more you feel how bad it is, then it makes it worse, So recognize that yes, I am in a low kind of state of mind, a frustrated state of mind, a little bit hopeless state of mind. But that's okay. This is also impermanent. This is temporary. This is also because nothing is, unchanging. Everything is changing. So let it be. Let me slip it out. Let me relax and, let it just pass. I think this is also sometimes important, because if you have too much aversion to that, this is so bad, I think that makes it even worse. So then, with some understanding that I am in that state, so it's okay. I'm at this moment, I'm like that, but, naturally everything changes, so tomorrow I might feel different, so therefore I'll just sleep out, or I'll just, let this happen. Maybe I have a, nice cup of tea, or, a coffee, or a nap, or whatever, have a cinema show, or something like that, or whatever. And then things can slowly change. Another thing is that, if we are very frustrated about things and we are in very really bad shape or negative state or everything like that, then, sometimes to have a feeling of optimism is not to have a kind of we can do something that will change everything and become completely, good. But there is always something that I can make it slightly better, or something that can, bring some little good thing, like, little bit help to somebody, or little bit help to myself, I think. So instead of looking for a kind of long-term or big improvements, do something that is very simple or very, doable, like a little thing that I can do to make it a little bit, better. So if I can do that and improve a little bit, at that thing, because if you are so bad, so frustrated, so low, then anything which makes it slightly better is also, is optimism, brings optimism. So therefore, sometimes doing something like that can also start to give another, another can change this state of mind more quicker.
Thank you very much, Rinpoche. Reminds me again what you were having to say about the importance of lightness. The importance of lightness. And
Yeah.
there's another question here saying, could you say some more about the relationship between carefulness and diligence, mindfulness and diligence?
Well, of course, mindfulness is same like something which is important part, important what can you say, technique that to work on myself, to work to practice on myself. There's only one, one tool, and that is the mindfulness, awareness and mindfulness. So whether it is any kind of training or practices you do on yourself, the tool is the mindfulness. So trying to looking at what's going on, being aware of what's going on, and then understanding the situation that you are in, and then remembering, some methods or, ways that you should be doing at that time, and then applying that. This is what we have described as, awareness, mindfulness, and carefulness. So this is the, is the method or the technique that we have only this tool of mindfulness and awareness to work on anything. So therefore, for diligence also, we need this tool,
Thank you very much, Rinpoche. The other question is also a very good one. Looking at the first two types of laziness, where one tends to do other things than those things that need to be done. The question is asking about any advice or how can one make wise decisions between what one wants to do in the moment and what needs to be done?
I think this is not to say that you cannot do anything other than what needs to be done. You have to make the priorities. I read a small story which I thought was a very good way to kind of explain this. It is said that once a teacher or professor came to the class with a empty jar of glass and some rocks and some pebbles and some sand. And then first he put all the sand in it, and then he put the pebbles, and that almost completely filled the glass jar. So the rocks, he couldn't put it. There was no space for the rocks. And then he took off all this and first put all the rocks inside the glass jar. Then he put the pebbles. So the pebbles went in the gaps that's left by the in the rocks. and then he put the sand, and it went where all the gaps were. So all these 3 he could put inside the jar, and there was nothing left outside. So he said to the students that, you have to do it like this. First, if you do the most important things and really necessary things, then it's like rocks. You put it there, and then you do things that you are interested in, or that's then like pebbles, and then you do you do some things that is enjoyable, that is you also have some time to whatever like that. If you do that, then everything will fit in. But if you do the other way, if you just spend all your time on entertaining yourself or doing something that's nothing, then in the wrong direction, in the wrong way, then you will not have any time to do the most important things. So I think it's a little bit like that, So this is, the idea that if you make the right priorities, then you have kind of time for all 3.
That's a wonderful story, Rinpoche, wonderful story.
Yeah.
I've also got a question here about somebody saying that when they're trying to make these decisions, they're saying that the biggest kind of conflicts in terms of the allocation of their time arises from them balancing their employment with their inner work. And he's saying, how do you have a perspective on how we can approach work life with a Bodhisattva mentality or a Bodhisattva aspiration?
I think work life is, of course, sometimes, it is important to, if you can choose the right kind of profession, that also sometimes I think solves lots of problems, because, but then, even if you are doing some jobs that is, not necessarily like a Bodhisattva's kind of a job, but very mundane kind of a job, then you have to do the job, you have to spend the time there, but, it's not always what job you do, but how you do it also, whatever job you do, you almost never there's a job where there is no people around, you have to react with people around you. You have colleagues, you have your bosses, you have your, employees and things like that. And the most important thing about this kind of things is how would you carry yourself, and how would you react with them, with kindness, with compassion, with understanding, with an intention to help. If you kind of create that kind of atmosphere, good atmosphere, then even you work, in the office, it becomes a very good, joyful thing. I think I've seen some offices, the people are really cordial to each other, very trusting to each other, very friendly with each other, with helping each other. And so therefore they are very happy, they're enjoying very much, and and also they accomplish much more because they are working together. And then sometimes, there are only very few people in the office, but they are jealous with each other, they're always kind of trying to pull down each other, and then it creates such a negative force that everybody is unhappy, and so therefore I think it is also how you do, how you are, and how you in whatever situation, and you can be very useful and helpful, even your actual job that you do at that in that whatever situation is nothing to do with with helping or with with good intention or anything, So I think it's it's important is not just the job, but how you do that and how you connect with people around and how you and then of course this, when we are talking about practicing the Dharma, and this is not just kind of something you do, it's your whole kind of how you carry your life, so it's during the job, work, or outside the work, or your kind of general outlook and general aspiration and general kind of way of being. So I think you can do these things wherever, in whatever situation, in whatever job situation or anything like that, I think.
Thank you very much, Rinpoche. Thank you very much for your time. I'm conscious we've run 10 minutes or more over time, so my apologies for that. But thank you very much for your really clear, wonderful commentary and excellent advice on a really important chapter. So thank you very much indeed, Rinpoche.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
Look
everybody.
forward to seeing you not next Thursday, but the Thursday after for the meditation chapter.
Okay, thank you.
For everybody listening, if you'd like to take a look at the website, there is a very good program for the celebration of Buddha Day, or in the Tibetan tradition, Sakadawa, on Saturday. So much look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.